And I just want to start with, what is Washington getting in John Bates?
Well, they're getting a guy that's going to be a professional. He's going to show up. He's going to be prepared. He's going to work hard. He's going to bring a lunch pail mentality, to it. And then I think on the field, they're getting a guy that can be a dominating run blocker. And, I think he's been undervalued in the pass game. He can stretch the field. He can go up and catch balls. He can make a guy miss. He's going to make the tough catch. So I think they're getting an all-around guy that's going to be a great teammate first.
Well, let's start with the run blocking. Why do you feel he is a dominant run blocker?
Well, he has he's got the size and strength, but he has excellent fundamentals and techniques. He has does a really good job with his hands, great footwork, rarely gets caught out of place. And then I think the preparation, understanding what he's going to get and how to execute his assignment is a big part of that too.
And are there some examples of plays where you see like this block was a direct result of his preparation and this is what went into it that kind of shows that? Yeah,
absolutely. We still use a lot of his stuff as our training stuff. So, but I'm excited for him and excited for Washington and what they're getting.
And, you talk about watching him as a blocker and some of the clips that I'd see, he also was a guy who blocks to the whistle as well.
Oh yeah. He likes to finish. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think he takes pride in that.
And then, as a blocker, when you watch him too in pass pro, the footwork, the hands and all that, because size is one thing as a tight end. We've seen a lot of guys who have size at tight end who can't block for anything. So why, how does he work on that aspect of his game that it made it so important and big for him?
Well, I think it comes back to the team first mentality. Everybody wants to catch 100 balls a year, but the reality of it is there's not that many balls that go around, for everybody to do that. So it's how can I impact the game? What can I do to make myself the best all-around player I can be and go work at it? And I think that's what he's done, since he's been a freshman. I mean, he's always a guy that was like, what do I need to do to get better? Help me get better.
So it's not like you had to go to him and say, hey, you're going to be a blocking tight end. Did he kind of understand that right away? Because I know he redshirted. So was it something that he knew right away, or did you have to kind of sell him on that a little bit?
No, he was always a guy like, hey, what do I need to do? Like, whatever gets me on the field and gets me more action, then whatever I have to do, I'll do it.
Was there a game that stood out for his blocking, or is it? I mean, I know he's a good blocker, but was there one in particular that just kind of jumps out for you?
I think probably the Air Force game in 19 would be one. Maybe the Marshall game in 19. Shoot, the Air Force game in 20. He makes our offense was based around having a tight end that could do a lot of different things, and he certainly was a guy that could do that. So I would say most games, really.
How was he? A lot of the stuff I'm going to see is in line. How was he just out in space as a blocker?
Really good, really good. He understands, what his strengths are and making the defense play to that. He's not a guy, if he's blocking a DB, that's going to go run and attack him. He's going to make that guy come to him and be bigger than he is.
And you start off too with a guy who's going to be a worker.
Mm-hmm.
What are some examples of that? Because, we're always going to hear that, but what did you see of him as a worker? What were some of the extra things that maybe he did that separated himself?
Well, he was a guy that always showed up prepared every day. And that started with, the night before. He'd say, hey, can I get the game plan, the ready list? What do you think about how this guy's playing? Is he a read guy? Is he a gap control guy? Hey, I noticed when he does this, he changes his stance a little bit, or whatever. So I think it was really in the preparation that shows that. And then if there was something to work on the field, he'd stay and work as long as he needed to work on it.
Before the draft, what kind of sense did you get from other NFL teams? Obviously, these guys liked him enough to take him in the 4th round, but he also seemed like he was a little bit under the radar for some other folks.
I think that was probably as much a media thing as anything. I mean,
right.
Certainly had the indication that by the end of the 4th round, he'd be gone.
So that would you got that all along?
Yeah. And, I mean, there's always a chance it goes a little higher or a little lower. But, I think had Washington not gotten him where they did, there were a couple other teams coming up in a hurry that may have gone that way.
When you would communicate with them, what were they seeing in him that made him like somebody? I mean, obviously the blocking, but was it primarily that, or were there some other things that you heard about him from teams that they really liked?
No, I think the biggest thing that most guys felt like this guy's going to be in the NFL for a long time and be a productive player. He can block, he can catch. Is he a 4.4 guy? No, he's not, but not many other guys are either, but he knows how to use his body. He's going to be a guy that you want on your team, and he's going to contribute for a lot of years.
As a pass catcher, and you brought up, and again, one of the things that jumps out with him is that he has a wider catch radius, maybe, is a way to describe it. Do you agree with that? And, did you – yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy, I mean, if you watch all his catches over the years, I mean, he's a guy that can go up and get it in traffic. He can go down to the ground and get it. Yeah, if you throw it near him, he's going to come up with the ball.
And you said maybe a little bit undervalued. Is that maybe the style of the offense? Is it just more receiver based, or why would you say that part of it?
Well, some of it we used him in protection because
that's hard to catch.
Yeah. And we've been very fortunate. We've had a bunch of good receivers here, right. And that probably led to some of it. But yeah, it was just kind of the nature of where the ball went.
And sometimes you get a feel that this guy could be, player X could be more productive in the NFL in a certain role than he was in college. Could he be that kind of a receiver? I mean, what do you think of, going to this level?
I do think so. I think he will catch more balls probably. Again, some of it the nature of matchups in the NFL, some of it the nature of, hey, they're gonna give more underneath stuff. Probably a little bit more play action type stuff. So I think he probably will catch more balls.
And how would you describe him as an athlete?
Excellent. He runs better than people give him credit for. But I think his quickness and change of direction is excellent. He's a high school track athlete, high school basketball player. So he's a guy that's done a lot of different things. And I think all that shows up when he gets on the field and has the opportunity to showcase his talents.
And how does that, how do you see those skills translating from track, obviously speed, but there's some other stuff too that, he's a triple jumper, he's a hurdler too, I think.
Yeah.
He threw the javelin, for goodness sake. So, but how did you see those skills in basketball, of course, too? How did you see those skills translating to football?
Well, just you ability to use his body, ability to jump, transition in and out, I think, of breaks. I think that's the stuff that shows up all the time.
Now, he threw the javelin. No tight end passes here, or what?
We've had a few over the years. We never got him into a game, but we practiced him. He can throw it a little bit.
Okay. What do you remember about scouting him in high school? Because he's doing all that. What was your opinion of him coming? Because I think it was only Oregon State that had offered him before you guys.
Yeah. He was a guy we knew early on, was going to be a college player. We just, at the time, weren't going to take a tight end. And, as we kind of went through, started figuring out hey, we probably do need a tight end in this class. And he was the guy we wanted, and we had to go recruit pretty hard against Oregon State to get him. Fortunately, he'd kind of grown up over here in the Boise area before he moved to Oregon. And that helped us a lot in the long run. But I think his athleticism probably more than anything. He wasn't even playing tight end. He was playing quarterback and safety
Oh, really?
and a little bit of receiver, but you could see all the athleticism, and then he wanted to play physical, so felt like that would translate to being a good tight end.
How did you see when you said wanted to play physical? Because obviously, I mean, it's a physical sport.
When he was tackling and the few times he did have to block, I mean, you could see he wasn't afraid of contact.
Where did he improve the most during his time there?
Well, I think as a blocker, because he came in not being a tight end or an O lineman, or so he just didn't do that. So as a freshman, that was a learning curve. But to go from not doing it at all to where he is now, I think really good.
And it's funny because, like, again, when you watch him, like, he bends his knees, he seems to play with good leverage. He really understands, maybe, I hate to say the science behind the blocking of it, but that's all goes into it.
No, I think that's accurate. I think he does. I think he understands pad level, leverage, inside hands, footwork, having a good base. I think he understands all that stuff, and it's because he studied it and worked at it and practiced for a lot of years.
It's also hard. I think teams are really, obviously, receiving tight ends everybody wants them. But I think a good blocking tight end has been difficult to find, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially a guy that, he's lined up really in every position, on the ball, in a wing, in the slot, outside. He's done all that. And a lot of guys only do, one thing or another. And I think that, and most of it is not lining up and blocking at tight end.
Right.
But, that was a big part of our offense, and he embraced that.
What kind of a person is he?
He's an awesome guy. He really is. He's maybe a little quiet and reserved just the first few times you meet him, but he's very thoughtful. Takes ownership of everything he does and tries to do it to the best of his ability. But very loyal guy. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best people I've been around.
Really? And in terms of loyalty, how did you see that? What
Well, I think probably there's no better example than he missed the last 2 games last year because of COVID. And a lot of guys in his situation, knowing that he was going to be a draftable guy and all that, would have been like, hey, whatever. I mean, he was fighting to get back on the field. Like everything he could do to get back out there and finish with the team and play for his brothers. And I think that probably exemplified it as much as anything. And then, just a guy that'll call and check on the coaches, or, how you guys doing? How's everything going? I appreciate all the things you've done for me, that kind of stuff. And it certainly comes from his family too. I mean, they're the same way. They're unbelievable people, and very fortunate to have been around all of them.
When he's trying to come back from the COVID, how hard was it for you guys to keep him back? I mean, and did he make it a harder decision than it needed to be?
Well, at the end of the day, it was a yes/no thing. I mean, you don't meet the protocols, but
right.
Yeah, we certainly would have loved to have had him. It might have changed the outcome. So
there you go. Well, anything else you want to add about him?
No, I mean, he just, like I said, I think you guys will be excited about the guy that's going to show up and have that blue collar mentality and not just talk about hard work, but actually show it and do it. And he might not show up in the stat book at the top of it every game, but if you truly watch what he's doing, there's no question he'll impact that offense.
Kent, I appreciate you joining me, man. This is great insight.
Absolutely. Anytime, anything you need.
Thank you.